Welcome, everyone. I am Dr. Dream, and you are here for the It's All Good show. And my guest this week she's become a special person in my experience. We first connected back in through EESystem. She was getting a cube, one of the portable EESystem energetics, and I already had mine. Portable, I say. It's not really something you carry around, but she was looking for information. She reached out to me. That was summer of 2022. I knew nothing about her. And so over the last coming up on 3 years, I have learned about her. And it's, that thing, and I talk about it all the time, like energy attracts like energy. And today's guest, there's no mistake about the likeness that has pulled the two of us together in a friendship that mostly revolves sort of around social media and her different offerings. Her name is Susan Cassaro. She is a healing practitioner. We're going to ask her about the different modalities and things like that. We share a lot of the same modalities. But in the process of getting to know her, she is a writer. And I'm just going to go ahead. Hi, Susan. Welcome to the It's All Good show. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for the invite.
I love the fact that you have a EESystem EEQube and that you've got it as part of your modality. So let's just start there and talk to us about what your healing practice is about and how it works for you and how you got involved in it, because your background is not particularly in the healing arts, we would say.
No, not at all. But I remember maybe 30 years ago, I was introduced to the crystal bowls, and these were the great big huge opaque ones. And I walked in this place and I sat next to one of them, and I'd never heard of anything like this. And when he struck that bowl, it just went right through me. It was the most intriguing, interesting experience that I've ever had, and have been collecting crystal bowls for quite a while now. I love that they are resonant with our whole bone structure. I mean, the whole crystalline structure. And then I just started collecting tuning forks and gongs and just all sorts of things. And it just intuitively, I felt like, this would be really nice to have this. And so I have a biomat, which has the infrared heat coming up through amethyst, which is very relaxing. And I will have a person laying on that with a blindfold, with a mask on. And I go around, I have 5 gongs and various chimes and other instruments. And I will just circle them and make sound and use the tuning forks on them. Most people, they tell me that they get stuck in their heads, and I have not met anybody that gets stuck in their head, especially when you put a blindfold, because that takes all the external stimulation away from someone, and they don't know where to go because they don't know what's going to happen. And that's the element of surprise, is the sound. And sometimes I'm touching them with the sound. And so things have developed since then. I have a vibration plate, which is fantastic to get rid of lymph. And I have the PEMF mats. There's 2 of them. You can sandwich in between them. And that helps also with detoxing. And so I've turned this place has kind of turned into a mini spa. It takes about 2 hours to go through everything, but no matter what anybody comes in here with, they have no idea, and they don't know what any of this is. And it's like, and I don't really try to, if they want to know, I can tell them a little bit, but basically it's an experience that they have. Um, and regardless of how somebody feels when they come in and they think, oh, yeah, I feel fine, they walk out of here not really understanding the dynamics until they get home and they go, wow, it's like for days afterwards, they are being affected in ways that um, they just didn't know lived inside of them because it's all them.
Right. Now your practice is, I mean, you don't, it's out of your home, you don't advertise,
Right.
it's really just word of mouth, having people find you that way.
Yes, exactly.
And what I love is already everything you listed as far as your different modalities and everything else, except for the biomat. I don't have a biomat, but the PEMF and everything else, I have all of that. And you even added some of the tensor ring tools from our friend Brian Besco.
Yes, and that is all you. It's like I saw that pyramid on top of your cube and it just spoke to me. And so I have since gotten all sorts of things from him, and I have them hanging from my ceiling with bits of Lemurian crystal that is pointing down at a person's head, and then they stand in one of these great big huge Tibetan standing bowls, and I walk people through a meditation just to get them out of their space and into the room. It's fantastic. I love doing it, and so when I'm not busy, I go through a lot of these processes on a daily basis just by myself. I wasn't doing that, but I've incorporated as much as I can. Um, and I love it. I love every bit of it.
Now, where are you located? I just realized we didn't say that.
I'm in Olalla, Washington, which is a little rural town in between Port Orchard. It's on the Kitsap Peninsula across the water from Seattle. Mhm.
Now, Stephanie and I are going to be up in the Pacific Northwest later this year, and one of my goals is that we're able to stop by and actually meet you in person and get to see everything. So I'm just stating that publicly and sending that intention out to the universe. So it would be fun for us to stop by and give you a hug and get to see and feel everything that you've got set up there.
Well, you've been my inspiration. It's like when heard Dr. Dream and your double back-to-back strokes, I looked you up and it's like everything you were doing in this huge way on stage with lots of people and all this sound, and you were just such an inspiration to me, and that's why I have a lot of the same things that you have. Although I have a a budget that does not really afford some of the wonderful things I see that you have. I would love to have, but I have plenty. I have enough.
It absolutely warms my heart to hear you say that. Um, it's powerful and you get it, and I so appreciate that. Now, one of the things about you, one of your really talents that impresses me is your writing ability. And you write under the banner of Light Side of Darkness. And whatever the particular topic is, your subheader, so to speak, is the energy of words creates ripples. And it's such a conscious, beautiful statement then as you go into presenting your writing. And I must have signed up at some point because I get are you sending out a weekly
Uh,
writing or just kind of,
when sometimes they'll be every day. I have been on a bit of a gestational period of time here, um, that I see that I go through every now and then I get inspired again by either somebody talking to me or saying what's on their mind or things they're feeling or whatever, the world's collective blah blah stuff, and I'll just kind of plug in from a different point of view. Uh, yeah.
Now I know that our points of view come from our experiences and everything, and you're 75 years old. You're vibrant, vibrant 75 years old. You don't look 75 years old. And I never would have thought that from our conversations. But I understand that in 75 years, you've got a lot of experience and a lot of, I mean, experience that has created who you are, that you've allowed that to create who you are. And were you always this beautifully connected to a perspective that is so heartfelt and insightful?
No, I was a mess growing up. Um, my father was in the army and we moved every year of my life. My mother was a drug addict, alcoholic all my life. I was physically and emotionally, spiritually abused. And from the time I was 3, and then by the time I hit 20, I discovered a thing called polarity therapy by Randolph Stone. And it was a whole new modality, and it used exercises and salt scrubs and gestalt. It was about the time of the EST training. I don't know if you were aware of Leonard Orr and his thing. But I was over here doing this, and that just kind of set me on a trajectory over the last 50, 60 years of self-evaluation and looking to see, because you don't get rid of anything. It all stays there, but your perspective on things change dramatically. And then you realize, with all the different exercises that I went through, that, everybody basically is doing the best they can given the reality that they're coming from in any given moment. Even no matter how horrific it looks, that's their best. And is there room for improvement? Sure, but somebody has to make that choice. You have to choose to improve.
I love that. I love everything that you're saying. I love reading your writings as they come through. This last week, and I'm going to ask you to maybe read something for us, was the reason that I finally reached out to you. And I don't think you saw the email I responded to. I think after I responded to the newsletter, or not really newsletter, but the writing that was sent to me, I thought, let me also, because I'd always corresponded with you on Facebook, and I thought, let me send you a Facebook message. How would you describe your writing? If you just met someone and they say, well, what do you do with your time, Susan? And you say, I write, and they say, well, what kind of stuff do you write? Well, how would you answer that?
Um, Up until 2018, when I was 10 and being shuffled around from house to house, I would write. And the adults thought that I needed psychiatric help. And so I stopped writing. I got, it's like, whoa, it's like I'm just being whoever I was then. And it was not being approved of. And so I stopped writing. And when I turned into an adult, living alone and writing, I was still so fearful that somebody would read it that I would hide it in my house. I live alone and I couldn't, I couldn't let anybody read it. And so I got so paranoid about it that I had to burn it all. It was good because it was all just venting and negative and blah, it was just a process that I was going through. But in 2018, there was a super full moon, And I had a great big fire outside, and I kept throwing sticks in the fire, and I was animating the sticks and throwing it in the fire intentionally with uh, in hopes of continuing to um, not be inflicted with what is still holding me back from being more empowered inside my heart, inside my being. And 2 weeks later, it's these things, sometimes they're subtle. It's like I built a website and I started writing in this new way that I write now. And I stopped hiding, basically. I've been hiding up to that point. And so it's like when I first started posting, it was like, oh my God, I'm going to post this on Facebook, and people at work are going to see it. And they weren't sure that that was even me writing, because it's not how I present myself in real life. It's like, I'm just this regular person. But these writings they've turned into my morning meditation. Sometimes they take me all day because I'll just sort of swoon in the words and in the energy of what I'm writing, and then I'll put them out there. And sometimes I'll think, yeah, well, I don't know if that one's gonna. I never know how they land for anybody unless somebody says, "Wow," it's like, "Were you talking to me?" And so that keeps me inspired as well to just keep moving through what I'm inspired by or whatever subject comes up. Um, and so I've watched it evolve uh, over the last few years. I've watched everything evolve, and I'm keeping everything on a thumb drive. And so that, one day, they may wind up in books somewhere.
And so you've got a book
I do,
already.
I do have one that's complete. It's 380 pages, and I've got a preface, and, I had to go through um, a little bit of help with somebody, because going to school, anything that had to do with reading and writing. Yeah, I got C's and D's and F's in. By the time I graduated high school, I had like a ninth grade reading vocabulary. And so I didn't like school. I didn't. And so I didn't try. And I didn't think that I could. I was so low self-esteem. It was crippling. It was crippling. And then fortunately, I've had a few epiphanies along the way that sort of like, whoop, got me out of that. And I'm so glad. Yeah. I realized that there isn't anything, I thought that there was something that I had to do to deserve to have, to be this spiritual person or to have anything. It's like there was something I had to do for it. And I had this epiphany, and my heart opened up into, I don't know what, but it was a conversation. And I realized that there wasn't anything that I had to do. I didn't have to change my diet. I didn't have to go to church. I didn't have to accept anybody as my personal savior and go to some Bible-based church. I didn't have to do any of that to realize that I am love. I am that which I've been reaching for, like this carrot out on a stick. It's like it's always been out of reach. And so I'm finally figured out that it lives in here. Here it is. It's in here. But it takes people as long as it takes to realize that. And you gotta want it. You gotta be hungry for it. You gotta scratch and claw for it sometimes. Yeah.
So one of the things that inspires me in your story is your commitment and dedication and ability to be so focused, to be so prolific in your writing. Is there a secret to that? I mean, I find that my own personal thing is, yeah, I write when I have to, like I do a weekly newsletter to support these podcasts and our tour. And I'll, so when I have to, I do. And when I don't, I would love to be more of a writer, but block or sabotage myself at every step of the way. How does it work for you?
Do you meditate? Do you
I
sit quietly
Yes, I do.
and go inside and you can feel something building up in your heart? Does it ever have words or is it just quiet?
It does have words, and it's what comes through me in, like, we did 96 group energetic experiences last year, and you asked Stephanie, we call it hashtag not a sound bath. And my comment is I do too much talking for it to be a sound bath. And so, yeah, I'm channeling whatever I'm channeling, connecting with, and my outlet has been those experiences. Now, this year, we're doing 16 experiences, and then we're putting the tour on the back burner and going into creative hiatus to create the new iteration of the tour. And so I imagine I will be either doing more podcasts without a guest, so I have an outlet to get out what needs to come through me, or I may turn to writing. But
Well,
so go ahead.
well, for me, it's easy to hide behind my writings. You're just right out there. I mean, you're out there. And it's like I have been hiding for a really long time. So writing is just, I'm still like behind the scenes. And it's just this writing, this faceless writing that, so it's art in a just in a different form, and this is I really enjoy the solitude and because I do this at mostly at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, when it's quiet. Here I live alone in the country and it's quiet at that time because I'm not getting that whole world collective, that woke up energy of frantic people in their lives, not struggling and not figuring out what they're doing and just kind of moving from one space to another meaninglessly.
Now, this week, I will share with you that one of my Facebook friends, who must be a mutual friend, shared your most recent writing on Facebook, did a post sharing your writing.
Oh, Paulina?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, we talk frequently. Yeah,
Oh,
she,
that's
she
excellent.
shares. Yeah, she shares my writings a lot. Yeah, we have we have long conversations. Yeah, it's good.
I love that. And you must get some feedback. I mean, I do I keep, all the stats on, like, 800 people a week open my newsletter, and I'm fortunate if I hear from one or two of them. I did a newsletter not that long ago, and I was talking about something that happened to Stephanie with her shoulder, and that we had to cancel some events just to self-care. And her mother called us the next day. And I was like, Nancy, you read our newsletter. I had no idea, but you must get some feedback here and there. I know I've reached out to you on Facebook and said, hey, that last one that you wrote really hit me.
Every now and then, and it always it surprises me because most of the time it's just me sitting here in my floofy bathrobe writing. And I love my writing, and I will go back and reread it. And sometimes, like I'll repost some of them that pop up on my Facebook page that I did a year ago, and I'll repost them, and I read them, and I go, oh, that's that they seem timeless to me. They seem to they still resonate with me.
That's powerful. That's when you've hit that chord that is a truth, that is not a momentary truth. It is for all time. Now, when I asked you to be a guest on the podcast, I didn't say, and one of the things I'd like you to do is read one of your writings. And then when we connected just a little bit ago and got on the Zoom to record this, I said, hey, listen, if you would be okay with it, would you want to read one? And so I feel like I kind of put you on the spot, but not in such a bad way. Are you open to maybe reading your last one or part of it or
Sure.
something? Okay,
Yeah.
excellent.
No, you can't read part of it. You have to finish it. They're
Excellent.
not long. They're only about a paragraph long, which I figure, and that makes it easy because um, it doesn't take up a person's attention span for too long. Although sometimes they're packed so in such a way that you do have to read them a couple times for some of it to sink in. Um, which I find interesting that people tell me that, I had to read that like 8 times. And then finally I went, a light bulb came on and I go, oh, that's interesting. So, yes. Okay. So, oops, let me see here. Okay. This one that I wrote just the other day is called We Choose. Asking in prayer to heal the mind, ego, from all beliefs against the soul's perfection. We have taken up residence as false witness to this body, which is not the truth of who we are. Our minds and hearts are the connection to everything and have been distorted with erroneous ideas since the beginning of our ability to choose what we think. We have the choice to believe anything we want and have been influenced by a world of wrong thinking. Ego thinks it rules. It thrives in fear, suffering, and attack. It's well versed in lies and deception of our true cosmic nature. Creation will say yes to anything we think or believe in, regardless of its truth. We have built our lives on the wrong intel, which floats around in that great enormous collective vortex that if someone or anyone is thinking this, it must be true. Spirit is the love of us. Our soul is eternal. We have been given the keys to everything with our minds and hearts. It's no easy task deprogramming the mighty ego and finding that still, quiet voice that overrides everything on our behalf. The guidance system has always been there, but we've been distracted by everything else about life we thought was the truth. It takes practice to weed out a clear path to listening. Creation is speaking to us all the time. Breathe into living our truth.
Love it. Thank you for sharing that. And something occurs to me as I had already read that, of course, but as I listen to you and in this conversation today, I get more of your backstory. You're even more inspiring than you were before this conversation for me, because you didn't come from a nurturing background. You didn't, your experience wasn't, let's gently hold Susie and allow her to blossom and grow into this beautiful flower of feelings and everything else. You it was quite the opposite. And the fact that, and I'm just picking that up from what you've shared already, but the fact that that was where you came from and this is where you are now, that's a very big, that's a very big energetic to have gone through the shifts it must have taken to find the self-love, to find all of that within. I mean, what, so I guess I want to word it into a question. For other people that have come from nothing but challenge, what advice, what nuggets of wisdom, lessons can you share that have assisted you, or in hindsight have assisted, you saw that was playing a role?
Well, then there's a bigger picture that I also believe in this, that when we were out there floating around in the cosmos and there was this choice to individuate, which I'm sure was an oh shit moment, because we, at that point, ego was born and thought we were separated. And then it became the most dominating thing in everybody's life because now we don't think we're connected to anything or each other or anything. And so all of that, and then, so all the conditioning that we've been through has just been horrendous. Body shaming and, gender bias and social incompetency. And there's just so much. And Playboy magazines and image and all this, it's like we grow up never feeling good enough about ourselves. And so it's like I was horrible to myself with self-criticism way into my 50s. And like I said, it was just this epiphany. And maybe, I don't think these things happen all at once. I think it all just keeps getting chipped away by everything that you do, that you are making an effort to see through all of that. All that past is like it's gone and it has nothing to do with who I am now. Although, there's a thread there that shows me that, well, yes, it does, but it doesn't exist anymore. Neither does the future. And it's like there's just this one moment here that we are living. And, but somewhere out there, we decided to come through the parents that we came through for those adverse lessons or whatever. It's like we came to experience that. And it's like some people don't get to the other side of it and they suffer through all of it and they take that to their death. And then there's some people like me that just, I haven't quit. I've been unstoppable in my veracity of making sure that I leave no stone unturned. And I've done so many different types of modalities. It's like I never settled on just one, and all of them together is just shown me that, you change your perspective and everything that was there. And if it Dr. Joe Dispenza, he's so great. I love him. And he shows you where, it's like, you are the placebo, you are the medicine, it's like you are the medicine for yourself. But it takes believing is everything, because like I said, the universe will say yes to absolutely anything you say to yourself. If you keep telling yourself you're not good enough, that's what you're going to get. So you got to, when those things come up, when all that past stuff comes up, that I'm not good enough or that self-criticism, it's like I look at that and that I know that is not the truth of me. We've got something a whole lot more powerful that is running through our veins, that is breathing for us. We can't take one breath without it. That is the river of our life and is this living soul that is using this body as a vehicle for connection to our brothers and sisters, but it's not who we are. This is just not who we are. And people just get stuck. They get stopped right there in believing in the limitations of where we are, believing in the diagnosis, when that's not the whole picture of where things are. It's like you don't have to take anything that anybody says to you as the truth, because you got to question everything and make up your own mind that everything you have is right here. It's inside. You just have to be quiet enough to stop this other monkey mind that wants to just lie to you all the time and tell you, stuff that isn't true. As soon as you start feeling contracted in yourself, it's a lie. Because we were meant to feel joyful and love and the abundance of this world. And if you're not feeling that, it's a lie, period. So when you just turn that part of your brain off, you start rewiring towards something else. You take that momentum of that one little wild thread that wants to leave and not believe in all that contracted stuff and change it into, becoming what it is that you want. It's like be what you want to be, what you say you want to be.
Oh my goodness. I mean, you brought me to tears just now. You're such a blessing, and I knew I was going to love this. interview today. I had no idea how deeply it would touch me. I do have a question. When did you first start the healing work on others?
Um, Probably when I retired because well, no, that's not true. I was doing transformational breathing with a friend for a few years, and we had a barn, a place that we would go and gather and do this breathing technique with some people, and usually only two or three, at the most six people would come every week, and so I did that for a while, but then I branched off. I just, I moved from there, and I am pretty isolated out here. And that's okay. It's like I know how to be alone. I've lived alone for 50 years or more. And I kind of like it. Yeah, it's like I love the connection that I've made on the internet with some people like you. I've never done anything like this before. I mean, a podcast, this is my very first podcast. I'm really out there.
No more hiding.
No, I'm not hiding, and that's fantastic. It's like, it's like you have invited me to the next level, is what you did. Thank you.
You are welcome. So tell me, you said, really you stepped more into it at retirement. Did you retire at 65?
I retired at 71.
Oh my goodness. So,
Yeah, I just retired.
so the full on, like multiple modalities and everything you've been doing for the last 4 or 5 years?
Yeah.
Just inspire me some more, Susan. I'm telling
Yeah.
you, that's
Well,
I just
I had the bowls. I was going to there's this guru named Saima, and I went to one of her retreats, maybe 15, 20 years ago. And she is a pretty smart cookie. She always brought people who had interesting things. Um, the vibration plate. She was aware of the vibration plate like 30 years ago, and scalar waves. We were making CDs of scalar waves of our own voice saying affirmations. And when you listened to it, it wasn't your voice at all. It was just all this frequency sounds and beats, and it was very unusual, but it was the way that the scalar, it was how it was translated onto a CD. And then you would listen to it, and um it would just, the affirmations are, get to be on a cellular level. And so I was learning about those things from her, because she was bringing all these really interesting people. And there was a vendor there that had all the crystal bowls, and so I bought my very first bowl there, and then I you couldn't stop me after that. So it's been, so with the transformational breathing, I was also using the crystal bowls when I was doing the breathing, which was, about 15, 20 years ago. But it was in between my working, on weekends and stuff. So
you
yeah.
have such an amazing story. You carry such beautiful energy. It comes through in your writing, but today, in this moment, it comes through your voice, your stories. I'm deeply touched and also just patting my back for following my intuition of inviting you to join me today. Um, where can people find your writing and more information on you?
Um, they can go to my Facebook page under Susan Cassaro. They're all, I pretty much will post whatever I've posted, I will post there on a daily basis. Um, and then then each of my writings at the end, I always put a link to my website, which is thelightside.of darkness.com. And then that states everything that I have here in the house as far as what I'm doing. And they can get a hold of me directly if some by either writing to me I don't think I put a phone number. They have to write to me, or I don't think I have a phone number on there. And then I will write back, and then that connection, that I'll make a connection that way. If somebody, it's yeah. So that's pretty much it. Yeah,
Well,
but basically,
everywhere we post this, we will put the links that you want, lightsideofdarkness.com and your Facebook page.
yeah.
I want people to be able to reach out to you and to find you. And from me, just from me, one-on-one personally, right here, thank you for being the inspiration that you are. Thank you for showing up the way that you show up. It is, you have impacted me, and I'm grateful for that. And so, Susan Cassaro, and I'm going to call you Susie. That was my mother's name. And before the podcast, I said, you go by Susan. And you said, that's my given name, but my friends call me Susie. And after this podcast now, I feel like I can call you Susie. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. And just so many blessings to you. And again, my goal is to meet you in person, hug you, and spend some time with you later this year.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it. And like I said, you have been the spokesperson for the inspiration that I feel about really being out there. I mean, you podcast and you're out there and you're doing groups, and that is fantastic. That's fantastic. I'm a little, it's like I've been a little shy, but I'm starting to feel my oats. This podcast I didn't know how this was going to go, but I thank you for encouraging me. I was a little nervous about doing this, but I had no idea, and it's been fun. Thank you.
Been fun for me too. And thank you to everyone that's tuned into this. Just another wonderful experience on the It's All Good show. All right. Bye, everyone.